You'll start withdrawing from people. You'll start just saying nothing. You'll be, I'm fine, and disappear into your room or whatever it is you do.
Yes.
You'll dig your nose into that book, and you'll daydream because you won't actually be reading the book because that requires an outward focus. And that's when you want to sit and consciously go, I just want to feel my lonely man. I want to see what he feels like. I want to feel him up close and see how that changes this period of my life if I let that in, if I let him do what he's here to do for me and with me. Yeah?
Yes.
Can I ask you, do you know if there were twins in your family?
Yes, there are.
And were you one of a twin?
I don't believe so. I didn't know anything about that.
Okay, I'm just wondering if there may have been a womb loss.
Oh,
okay?
Really?
Yeah. It can happen sometimes at the very early stages. The reason I'm saying that is the information I'm getting about the loneliness, and I'm feeling him like this all down my left arm. I just want to go, ugh. That feeling, It's like, oh, yeah, there's somebody here for sure. The feeling I'm getting around that is that there was that intense loneliness is a subtle or very deep awareness of somebody that was in there with you that was suddenly not, which is not anybody's fault, or we're not talking that anybody's kept a big secret. They might never have actually known that. Your mum might have thought she had a show at 2 months or 1 month, and then even thought it was a period,
Yeah.
and then realised, oh, well, no, I've still got my baby, so we're all good. And then not realised she'd actually maybe lost a fetus.
You know what? She actually told me that she got a kidney infection and that she thought that she was going to lose me. So that starts to make me think that she might have lost something else.
Yeah, she may have. And very often if it's really early on and it's misdiagnosed or diagnosed differently, then she may never have been actually told that or known that she had lost another little baby, because at that point we're talking something very minor when it comes to a show. We're not talking a major miscarriage at that point if it's very early. So very interesting stuff. If she got an infection too, it may have been that this was in there for a little while before it evicted, so it may have never had life. But anyway, that's where we go with that lonely feeling for you, which is very interesting. It also maybe gives you an explanation, and you can investigate that further within yourself and within because the worst problem with that sort of thing is not having a reason for it that you can identify with, and so that usually means it goes back a very long way. Just by acknowledging that, very often it just is gone forever, because any two things that were connected together, that would have made it paternal twins, because I'm guessing because maternal twins are identical and paternal twins are two separate eggs. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not unlikely that there was two fertilizations and one was incomplete and so on and so on. So kind of interesting. Not that uncommon, just uncommon in how it's diagnosed. So we popped that there for the loneliness, and that's that man back there, the Eastern Europe guy. And then what I've got is if you go straight up, you've got an energy column, and your energy column is actually fairly advanced for somebody who I think hasn't done as much work as the size that I'm looking at that's conscious. So I think you've been playing around, but you haven't actually had a conscious drive for what you're doing, and you've created these expansions, but not quite the understandings that go with it. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's good fun. And it's really now probably big enough and large enough for lots of feelings and thoughts to be slapping you around the head a little bit. And it's time for you to learn more about what it is you're going to do and how you're going to do that. These kind of things that you're developing are in response to something you want to do. It's not being done to you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So you will have had for a very long time within yourself a desire to nurture or be a person that helps others in their lives. Some of that because of feelings of that feeling of intense loss and understanding people who have depression and anxiety, and others because of not feeling completely loved within your family unit or well treated. And those things are drawn out in you. Instead of a desire to be a real cow to everybody, it's drawn out a desire for you to help other people who may be struggling within themselves and feel very lonely or not feel like they're a part of a unit. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what you're going to do with it. So have you got questions so far about what I've said?
Not about that. I just have one last question before it ends. Is there anything, I don't know.
You've got 8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the house or around me that's negative? Because baby toys start going off and light bulbs blow and just weird things have been happening. and I went through a deep depression, and it feels like I can't control my emotions sometimes. And I don't know how that works.
From well, that was that loneliness thing that we were talking about, right? So obviously the outflow of that isn't going to be you're going inside, and when you go inside, then you don't see outside. You can't see positivity, but no re-negativity. So I'll talk about that just a little bit. Dead people can't hurt us or do damage within our environment. Ha ha.
Okay.
It's that simple, and I've never ever seen anything negative. I've seen things that are sad. I've seen residual energies where people have a memory, and that memory or a space holds a memory that was traumatic, but it's not a driven thing. If you understand that, it's not motivated negativity or a challenge or something. If you get a person, for example, who is presenting themselves for communication and they've spent their life with anxiety and abuse, they don't feel great. It doesn't mean they aren't great, it just means that that's not a nice energy to feel. If you get somebody who was sick for a very long time and a very angry person, that doesn't feel great either, but it was just who they were. And if you're not worried about that and you just read it for what it is, you're reading personality types that aren't always comfortable. That's just life. I haven't yet come across any spiritual entity that has the ability to move anything physical, but I know humans can do it. So, yeah, and we've seen it. It's been filmed. So if we think about it that way, you might want to wonder a little bit if these things happen more when you're not happy.
Yes.
Does that make some sense? So I think you might be doing that. We have a discharge of energy, which I know I can interfere with electrical equipment. Now, I know if I can interfere with electrical equipment, not maybe, I know I can. So if I can interfere with electrical equipment and you can interfere with electrical equipment, then it's just a little bit possible that it might be us doing it, yes?
Okay, yes.
And so what we do then is we stop that. No, I was giving a lady was actually robbed and had her arm broken in a number of places. She was mugged out the back of my office, and they brought her into my office because I had the lovely comfy couches. And when the ambulance got there, they bring in this big, huge machine to attach it to her to keep a check on her heart rate and all the rest of it. It wasn't little, it was a huge machine. And I just had my hand on her arm. And they walked in and they said, wow, she looked really relaxed. But when they put the machinery on her, it just read flatline, and they were laughing and saying, you're dead. What's going on here? We've got no reading from you. And they put the equipment on themselves to test it. It worked beautifully, put it back on her, and it was dead. And I just sat there, not taking too much notice, Anyway, they played around with it. They put it in different spots on her. They did all this stuff. And then suddenly I said, oops, took my hand off her and kaboom, kaboom,